Are blocking and dodging of equal value in this game, or should I prioritize one over the other? The true answer is that it depends. There are several factors that it depends upon. So one really important thing about whether you should block is whether your block stat is high. The higher this number is, generally it's safer to block with that weapon. But even beyond that, there are two other stats I would encourage you to look into. There's one that's called toughness. Generally, the higher your toughness is, the higher the grade of your toughness, the easier time you'll have generally towards being, as it says here, resistant to key damage. I think that applies to block as well. But if you want to know whether to dodge more often than block, agility is your friend. The better your agility, so if it's at like A agility or eventually double A agility, then yeah, definitely dodge more often than not. So in a simple nutshell, if you are tanky, block. If you are not that powerful, but you're very agile, then probably want to dodge. Also, one thing that is accessible to everybody very early in the game is Key Pulse Man. So let's go through this. This will basically incentivize you to block more often and block all sorts of things if you can manage your Key Pulse. So let me explain. This activates when you recover full key from a Key Pulse. It applies a special effect that negates the key damage you receive from the next attack. In other words, something could be doing 1500 key damage to you. Take your key from all the way to 0, effectively. But if you have this buff on, due to proper key pulsing in mid stance, it's a free block. That is not to be underestimated at all. It is so good. So in my case, I tend to dodge more often than I block, but I have all sorts of things that I can do that can help me block more often than not. One interaction that's also really cool involves purity weapons. So if you're using a purity weapon, right, a blessed weapon, it is imbued with purity. You can recover a portion of the key lost from guarding with this weapon by performing a Key Pulse. So you remember what I said about the Key Pulse Man? So even if you so think about it this way, even if you mess up, even if you fuck up and just block, you have a chance to do a Key Pulse, a full Key Pulse in mid stance to get a free block after. That is awesome. And it's not just limited to weapons either. Eventually towards the end game, and let me see if I have, towards the end game, and I gotta see if I have a scroll for this. Perfect. Eventually, you can unlock Ultimate Strength. This is very late in the game, which allows you to do a Key Pulse by guarding even if you aren't using a blessed weapon. Which means, once again, with things like Key Pulse Man, you're greatly incentivized to block. But it doesn't stop there. There's a grace. I think it's a Kala's Grace. I'll have to see if I have it. I don't think I do. Perfect. Okay. But there's also a grace in the end game called Akala's Grace. Alright. What does this do? It's a lot of text here, but in a nutshell, this incentivizes you to block like all the time. So if you're just want to hold block and profit, this is basically your set. So in a nutshell, there's a lot of possibilities when it comes to blocking or dodging, but in either direction, the game will provide certain gear to assist with that. This is a block-based set. I am using a dodge-based set. Dodge range up. Use less key while dodging, and then this incentivizes me not getting hit. So, all that to say, as I said in the very beginning, whether to block or dodge, it honestly depends. But if you're just starting out, I think it'd probably be a better idea if you are not too tanky to just focus on dodging. But if you're more on the tanky side with things like higher toughness, a higher block value, then yeah, just block more often. So I hope that helps.